In the feast of capital, there are no accidents, only calculated extraction. The public bought into the illusion that AI was some egalitarian tech revolution. Today, that facade is dead. Silicon Valley has bared its teeth. OpenAI just closed a suffocating $110 billion funding round. Nvidia and Amazon have both stepped onto the floor, artificially pumping the valuation of this so-called non-profit to an absurd $840 billion peak. Sam Altman isn't building a charity. He's gearing up to orchestrate the largest IPO in history later this year. This isn't a crusade for humanity. It is a ruthless monopoly game, and no one wants to be squeezed out early. Elon Musk panicked. He tried to pull the emergency brake by suing OpenAI, but that lawsuit, which a judge just coldly dismissed, is nothing but an underfunded bluff. In the eyes of capital, when your GPU reserves run dry, preaching about ethics and original intent is just the desperate wail of a loser who lost control. Musk lost in court, but does he actually care? Not at all. His real leverage isn't a legal ruling. It is the $20 billion in hard cash he just raised, and xAI's supercomputer that has been violently scaled to 1 million GPUs. In the face of the absolute physical dominance of 1 million graphics cards, legal debates are laughably irrelevant. Musk knows the truth. This isn't a philosophical debate. It is a bare-knuckle war of attrition, fueled by capital and compute. And then there is Masayoshi's son. Why would he blindly call the bet and dump $30 billion right now? He is playing the high roller table like a reckless degenerate. Son doesn't care how fragile OpenAI's Moat actually is, or that they are projected to suffer a cash burn of $25 billion this year alone. He didn't drop $30 billion because he sees a clear path to profitability. He did it because, as a gambler, his greatest fear is missing out on the most historic bubble of our lifetime. That $30 billion is just a VIP ticket to the table. He bought it just to stay in the game. That is the game above the table. But the real undercurrents are much darker. This $110 billion is just step one of the harvest. The actual bloodbath is just getting started. If you think OpenAI raised this cash to build smarter AI, you have fallen for the smoke and mirrors. You are the retail bag holder. In our business deconstruction, this isn't a funding round. It is the highest stakes slaughterhouse in the world. It is a beat-for-beat remake of the 1990s dot-com bubble. Back then, the highest, frothiest layer of the market was the application layer. Startups like Webvan and Pets.com burned through venture capital at unprecedented rates, chasing a mass market that had not materialized. OpenAI today is the new Netscape, a first mover operating as a software gateway, burning ungodly amounts of cash with no lasting means to capture the value they create. They are merely an app layer tenant, vulnerable to the platforms beneath them. In the 90s, the only guaranteed winners were the infrastructure monopolists. Nvidia today is exactly what Sun Microsystems and Cisco were combined during the internet boom. You could not build an online business without Sun servers to handle the processing loads and Cisco routers to direct the traffic. Today, you cannot build a frontier large language model without Nvidia's GPUs. In any speculative mania, the software startups get slaughtered. Selling the shovels has historically been and remains the only safe bet. In a pot this size, the winner is never the gambler. The house always wins. Amazon and Nvidia dropped $80 billion into this round. On the surface, it looks like an investment. Beneath the surface, it is a ruthless rake. That $110 billion will not even sit in Altman's bank account before it flows right back to Amazon and Nvidia as compute taxes and cloud rental fees. It is the ultimate circular financing loop. The tech giants lend money to the tenant, and the tenant uses that exact cash to buy the giant's hardware. But why doesn't OpenAI just break this extortion? Why not buy cheaper chips from AMD or Intel? Because they can't. Nvidia's true moat isn't silicon, it is software. Over the past decade, Nvidia built CUDA, a proprietary parallel computing platform. Every AI researcher, engineer, and developer is intimately trained on it. The entire industry's codebase is hardwired into it. Switching to AMD isn't just a matter of swapping out a microchip. It requires rewriting the fundamental DNA of your AI infrastructure. It is a brilliant, inescapable CUDA software lock-in that traps the entire ecosystem. As long as OpenAI remains hostage to this software layer and keeps burning cash, Nvidia keeps taking its cut. Yet, even with all the capital in the world, this trillion-dollar house of cards is colliding with a violent physical limit. In the 1990s, the physical bottleneck was telecom bandwidth. Today, the bottleneck is energy. You can theoretically print infinite venture capital, but you cannot print electricity. Running and cooling a matrix of 1 million GPUs isn't just a hardware procurement problem. Modern chips are exponentially more power-intensive, and the public electrical grids simply cannot supply the electricity required to keep these AI data centers alive. A single massive AI facility can consume as much power as a mid-sized city. This is why Sam Altman isn't just buying chips anymore, he is actively hunting for nuclear power plants. The tech giants are aggressively investing in utility-scale nuclear energy, seeking to hoard the grid just to guarantee their own survival. They are draining the world's physical resources to feed an algorithmic black hole with no proven unit economics. Furthermore, to engineer the perfect exit liquidity for its investors, OpenAI is relentlessly bulldozing any barriers to commercialization. The irony is staggering. Even Anthropic, the rival founded by defectors who claimed OpenAI was too commercial, just took $30 billion and publicly abandoned their core safety pledges. Let's be clear, when tens of billions are dumped on the table and the Wall Street opening bell is ringing, every moral high ground is instantly slapped with a price tag. When the facade crumbles and you step back from this dizzying valuation inflation, you realize something. Obsessing over whether Musk or Altman wins is completely pointless. In this bottomless pit of compute anxiety and capital mania, there are no tech saviors. There are no real winners. The only things left at the table are the hijacked future of humanity and the ultimate shovel seller who never loses, Nvidia. The venture capital burned by these startups, the global resources, the nuclear power, and the intellect we are pouring in, it is all just reinforcing a monopoly wall of compute supremacy. In this zero-sum game, the risks are perfectly socialized onto the public grid, while the astronomical gains are privatized by a select few. Capital never sleeps. All our technological ideals have long been deafened and killed by the roar of a million GPUs. Yet, the countdown on this trillion-dollar bubble is still ticking. When GPT-5 finally arrives with an even more massive compute black hole, will this fragile circular financing loop hold? Capital will ruthlessly reset the table, but whose? Subscribe to the channel. We will break it down next time.